Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christine. If this is your first time here, I have 3 kids who I homeschool, and I share about homeschool content here on my channel. So if that's something you're interested in, please go ahead and subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. Come along and follow me on Instagram. I share there fairly regularly, just kind of behind the scenes, what our homeschool days look like, and just a little bit more, I don't know, day-to-day update stuff. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I've got the link down in the description below. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you our first term update, a bit of a life update, and how it went. Alrighty, so this year when I outlined our schedule, which I can link that video for you here, my planned schedule for the year, I had planned on doing 6 6-week terms for our school year and taking a week off in between each of those terms, and then right at the end of the year we will have our summer break. So we completed our first term, and it didn't turn out the way that I had hoped and expected it would, but for reasons that were totally out of my control. So if you're following me on Instagram, you'll probably know a lot of what I'm going to chat about in this video, but if you're not, then I'm going to chat about here and maybe share stuff that I haven't on Instagram. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. I haven't pre-planned any of this. But essentially the first 4 weeks of our school term went splendidly. I was really happy with our curriculum. I decided that we will do a couple of things differently next year probably. I added in a preschool curriculum for my daughter, which is actually amazing, and I'm doing a whole video on that. I will mention it in a minute, but the 2 curriculum related changes that we made, or not that we made, but that I'm going to plan on making next year, is 1, our science curriculum. We are doing science from Simply Charlotte Mason. There is nothing wrong with their science. I just want to preface this and say that their science is amazing. I love it. It's gentle. It's beautiful. It's nature study based, which is exactly what science should be about at this age. My kids are 6, 4, and 2. My 6-year-old is the main child that I'm homeschooling, obviously, at this point, and it's perfectly age appropriate. However, my 6-year-old is a very scientific and mathematically minded. That is what floats his boat. It's what he enjoys, and I need more hands-on science for him. He wants to do more experiments and things like that. So next year I'm planning on using a science curriculum that is more that way, but it's still very open and go. I also might change my mind between what curriculum I'm using between now and then, so that's why I'm not chatting about it yet. But I think I know what we're going to do next year. And there's nothing wrong. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with using Simply Charlotte Mason. It's beautiful. It's just my son wants more. And so I think we will be changing that next year. But overall, I've been very happy with our curriculum. And I added in a preschool curriculum for my daughter. Now, I've done a video on this before. I've mentioned it several times. I've talked about it over on Instagram. I've struggled with her because she's so ready to learn and eager to learn. But she is still as much as a child may be eager to learn, it doesn't necessarily mean that their brain is ready to understand all the concepts. And so my daughter Annie is 4, she's about 4.5 now, and knows some of her letter sounds, not all of them. I can tell already, once she knows her letter sounds will be off. She is already trying to sound out words on her own. I haven't done any of that with her yet. And so it's just a matter of getting the letter sounds put together, and I know she will really enjoy reading once we've done that. So I was on the hunt for a curriculum that goes over the letters of the alphabet really well and thoroughly without it being boring. Now, we've used the Good and the Beautiful preschool curriculum in the past, and honestly, I love it. I don't have anything bad to say about their curriculum, except that I've done it with her, and I didn't want to repeat it with her again. I just felt like it was boring, even if it's just boring for me, the teacher. I wanted something new. But I didn't want to spend a fortune, and I also wanted something that was kind of worksheet-based because that's what she enjoys. And a lot of the preschool curriculums that are out there are more gentle, hands-on curriculums, which are great for some kids. They would work perfectly with my son. But with my daughter, she prefers worksheets. It's just how she is gifted artistically, and her, fine motor control is brilliant. She can write better than her older brother, and she doesn't even know all her letters yet. So what I ended up going with was letters and numbers from Gather Round. I've only ever used Gather Round's Christmas unit outside of this, and I've never, I liked their Christmas unit, but it didn't make me want to use their other unit studies necessarily as like a spine for our curriculum or anything. So and this is quite new out. This has been perfect. Like, I am so pleased with it. And I plan on using like all of their preschool curriculum because of that. I love it. So I'm going to do a video on that and like reviewing it and just sort of going over it with you. But that has been a welcome addition to our homeschool. It's like ticking all the boxes that I needed to be ticked for her. And yeah, while I'm fully aware she doesn't need to be doing school, she wants to. And so this works super well. It's open and go, and it does everything I need it to. So those were our curriculum changes that I kind of like mentally and actually did this term. Our schedule worked beautifully well. The only thing that I ended up changing was with my toddler. I kind of had this idea that she needed to be there for all of our school, and I was going to have like activities and stuff to entertain her. Yeah, that did not go well at all. I mean, sometimes she was happily entertained, but a lot of the time she was just very disruptive, and it was really hard to get through like read alouds and things like that. Now, she does participate in some of our school. She is there for some of it. She is there for a lot of read aloud, but I needed a different solution. And so I re-implemented independent playtime, which I have always done with my kids. And for some reason, it just had kind of fallen away. Maybe it's because my kids are getting older and I didn't rely on it so much anymore. But I brought that back in, and I've done a video on that on this channel like ages ago. I'll see if I can find it and link it for you. It was a much younger version of me. I may have only had 2 kids at that time. But I'll link it for you if you're interested in it. And essentially, she plays on her own in her room with some music playing and some really good toys for it's probably between 30 minutes and an hour that she does it, depending on how long our history and science and stuff is going on for. And again, I do include her in some of our school, but that has made, oh my goodness, it made it so much easier to get things done. So our schedule's working beautifully. I'm going to do a video on our schedule where I talk you through our homeschool day, because I've had a couple of people request that. So I will do a video on that soon. It'll be coming out. I don't know when, soon. So schedule's working well. I'm really happy with our schedule. Really happy with doing a 4-day week. And really happy with curriculum. Homeschool-wise, like the actual academic side, it went really well. But life... Siri heard me on my computer and wanted to do like a search of everything I was saying for the last paragraph. School went well. Academically, it went well, but life threw us some lemons in the last 2 weeks, which were really hard to go through. So I'm just going to start. This is really hard to talk about, but I'm sharing it because I feel like as homeschoolers, this is real life, and you need to know how to navigate real life with homeschooling. So it was our 5th week of homeschooling, and I got a surprise positive pregnancy test. We were not planning on adding to our family. It was a very big shock, and I wasn't happy about it when I took the test, and it took me a couple days to kind of come to terms with it, and then I was starting to get excited. But like that week I really struggled. It was a Wednesday that I took the test. Really struggled through school that day. I think we still did school on Thursday, maybe. Or maybe we didn't do it on Wednesday, but we did on Thursday. I can't remember now. It's just a bit of a blur. School didn't really happen at its full capacity because I just mentally was not capable of focusing very well. And that weekend, I was excited. We went to my family's house, my parents' house, because we had like a church fun day on that weekend. And we were kind of starting to get really excited. We were starting to plan things like researching triple bunk beds because we live in like 1,000 square foot home with 3 bedrooms and like no plan on being able to move at the moment because the property market is insane. And so we would have to fit another baby into this house, and which would mean we'd need like a triple bunk bed in one of the rooms. So we were researching things like that, getting really excited. And then about a week later, I started to miscarry that pregnancy. Um, and I was actually at my parents' place at the time. My husband was away on a work conference, which was obviously not ideal that he was away, but I was so thankful that I had decided to go to my parents' place for that week. And God just knew all this ahead of time. He took really good care of me, but it was a really hard week, as I'm sure you can imagine. And there were just lots of emotions. There's still lots of emotions, obviously. It's only been about a week and a half since it all happened. But school really just didn't happen that week at all. I couldn't. I was not able to do that at all. And then the week, I'm just like trying to think of what weeks we were supposed to have. The week that we were supposed to have off, I was planning on doing school to try and make up for it, but I got sick, and you can probably still hear that in my voice a bit. I got a horrible respiratory infection and was literally in bed like the whole week. I just felt miserable, and obviously I was grieving at the same time, and I feel like it was God's way of kind of being like, no, you're not going to distract yourself from this grief. You're going to feel it in its full capacity, and you need to grieve and go through this. And so he just plonked me in my bed and said, you're going to stay there for a week, which was really hard. It was a really hard week. And today has really been the first day that I felt a little bit like my normal self again. But, yeah, I did announce this on Instagram last week, and everyone there was just, I have received nothing but love and support from people, and I just really appreciate that. It doesn't necessarily make the grief any easier, but it makes the situation easier to go through, and I think so many things in life we want to skip over the hard parts and like distract ourselves from it. And the reality is with grieving, you just have to walk through it. You just have to feel the sad, and it's okay. But that's not normal for me to like sit back and stop everything in life, stop work, stop school, essentially stop mothering because I had to just be sick in bed for a week, which was totally unrelated to the miscarriage, but it just so happened to happen at the same time. And, yeah, it's been really hard, but this is not the end of the road, obviously. I've got 3 children that I'm mothering, and, we're picking back up homeschooling. So we took essentially 2 weeks off. Unfortunately, the week off that I had like planned in my mind of being this time of refreshment and was not that. It was hard, and I was sick, and, it was emotionally very draining, but it wasn't all bad, and there have been such tremendous blessings and love shown through this time. There can be blessings and sadness at the same time, and I'm not ready to talk a lot about everything because it's still so raw. I'm planning maybe to write a blog post about it. I don't know if I'll ever publish it, but I think it might help to just have the memories and everything. But yeah, it has been, there have been lessons learned, and we didn't really do formal school at my parents' place, but my parents live on 10 acres of, not 10 acres, on 40 acres of land. They used to have 10 acres and bought more. They've got 40 acres of land, and my kids are old enough now where they could just go and explore, and my son just, I barely saw him. He was just out on the farm like the whole time, exploring. And then my grandfather, who lives with my parents, bought a telescope, this massive telescope. I mean, it's so fancy, it's computerized and everything, and so my son was helping him set that up. So there was plenty of learning that went on. It just wasn't in an academic formal setting, and I'm just aware that there are so many lessons in life that are worth learning that aren't out of books, you know. And so we had very special time with my parents. It was a really horrible week in the sense that it was full of grief and loss, but there were still precious memories made, and I'm grateful for those and for the fact that we were there at that time. It was just, that was a big blessing. Like, God just knew. He knew. That's where we needed to be. So, this is not, I really didn't want to film this video because it's kind of like I had all these plans of how our year would go, and I went from thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to have to cut short our school year because I'm going to have a baby, to all of a sudden like, no, actually it's going back to normal, but the normal didn't feel the same good as it felt before I thought I was having a baby, you know? So, I am giving myself lots of grace, and just getting through each day as it comes, because it's been rough, which I know a lot of you will be able to relate to, and I'm so thankful for those of you who message me with your stories, and just yeah, it just feels like love. That's what it does feel like. So thank you for that. And I feel like this is a horrible note to end on, but it's life. This is what homeschool looks like. Life throws lemons, and we all go through things like this. It doesn't have to be a miscarriage. You know, we go through grief in different ways. We go through job losses and life circumstances that can tip our world upside down. And thankfully, with homeschooling comes flexibility, and you can make it work for your family, and it's okay to just stop for a time. Like, it really is okay. And I was lying there in bed one day feeling guilty about the fact that I wasn't doing school and I wasn't doing housework and blog work and everything. And I thought, Christine, what is it going to take? What is it in life that it's going to take to make you be okay with resting? Because it's like, this is not a small thing. This is a big thing. And so once I kind of was like, yeah, it was like a come to Jesus moment, and realized it's okay to stop, and we need to, give ourselves grace. So thank you for watching this. If you got to the end, I appreciate you, and I have lots of videos planned coming up. So onwards and upwards, I have, ideas, and I'm glad to get back to homeschooling because it does bring me joy. And for a couple weeks now, it's been hard to focus on things because nothing felt joyful anymore. And so it's nice to find something again that gives me that fulfillment, and I feel like I'm pouring into my other children as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind